Hey everybody, this is Angie with Refine Crafts, coming to you today to share some photos of my K40 laser as I'm getting ready to upgrade it and dismantling it. I wanted to share some tips and tricks that I've learned over the last year while I still have this laser up. This is my K40 laser setup, and you can see here that we've done the upgrades that are recommended if you want to use this machine with light burn. We also replaced our chiller. We started out with a 5-gallon bucket system like you'll see a lot of people show on YouTube, and we replaced that with the industrial chiller that you see here. The chiller works great because it allows you to use your laser continuously and you don't have to be adding ice to the bucket over and over. We were using frozen 1-gallon jugs. We would put them into the 5-gallon bucket of distilled water and try to maintain that temperature manually between 15 and 20 degrees Celsius. And it got challenging, especially if you were doing a larger job and your laser tube would get warm. We'd be changing out that gallon until we ran out of frozen gallons, and then we'd be shut down for a few hours while we waited for more water to freeze. So upgrading to this chiller was a game changer. It allowed me to do jobs without having to worry about having ice on hand. Definitely would recommend having this chiller with the K40. Here you can see a couple other upgrades that we did on the K40 laser. We added lights inside of the case, and we upgraded the laser bed to the Honeycomb bed. You can see here that we've also disconnected this bed. We did put the riser underneath. I'll show that in the next photo. But talking about the Honeycomb bed itself, I found that a lot of times my material was larger than this honeycomb bed, and that the honeycomb bed was slightly smaller than the footprint I could get in my cut area with the laser. So if I were using that larger material, which would be 12 inches by 8 inches, it would sit outside of this honeycomb bed and would actually rest on the rivets that we used when we installed this. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're doing this upgrade, that unless you're using really small pieces, your material is not going to sit right on this bed. That said, there are ways to make sure that you keep level and that your material stays where you want it to. I discovered these things later in my time using this laser, and I've used this laser for about a year. So I'm going to share that in the next photo. So what you're seeing here is the inside of the laser after I've taken the bed out. And you can see that we have installed this this elevator, this lifter that has a handle on it. You can crank it up and crank it down to control your Z-axis. This gives you a lot more capability of what you can work with. But I will tell you, after we made this upgrade, I didn't use this feature for a while. We found that disconnecting the laser bed made it really difficult to keep level on your projects, and having the laser bed kind of balanced on this contraption messed up the consistency of the cuts. So you might get good cuts toward the front and bad cuts toward the back. Your focal distance would change, and it was just too variable, and I didn't have a good solution. So we bolted the bed back down and kept this riser in place underneath it for a long time, until I had an inspiration and figured out what I could do to control level on my machine. This is just a close-up of that riser and a lot of crumbs in my bed. In this picture you can also see the pegs that the laser bed, the original laser bed, would screw into. And when the bed is screwed down, you have a pretty good stable surface for your project, and it doesn't move. But you also have no control over your Z-axis. You can't put thicker materials than what will fit under the laser head, and if you use thinner materials, you have to stack shims or tiles or bean bags or Legos or something to hold that project up to get your focal length. And using this riser can help you raise and lower the entire bed, but it has its own challenges, because then the bed likes to wobble back and forth or front to back, side to side, because it's really just balanced on this small square. In this picture, you can see my solution for keeping level on my laser bed while using the riser underneath. I am using magnets that I used to use in the welding shop. I don't know exactly what they're called. We used to call them dogs. You can get them at Lowe's or Harbor Freight or Home Depot, anywhere in the welding section. They have magnets all around the edge, and they will stick and give you a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle, and you can use them for positioning material. I've used them here on the inside rail of the K40 to hold the bed at the level where I want it to stay. I've used the riser down below, and I'm pushing upward to get the height, and then I use the magnets up above pushing downward to control that wobble and make sure that the bed is not shifting forward and back or side to side while my project is running. And this has really changed my life with this laser. I have so much more control, so much less variability in the laser cuts, and I can control that Z-axis on all of my projects. This has been a great upgrade, very inexpensive, very, very helpful. I would definitely recommend you go out and get some of these magnets. In this picture, you can see a close-up of those magnets that I'm using to position the laser bed and to make sure that I don't have any wiggling or rocking on the X-axis. So underneath the laser bed, I have the riser, and I've tensioned that so it's pushing up on my project and holding the bed at the height that I need. And on top, on the corners and stuck to the inside of the rails, I have these magnets pressing down, and I'm also using the magnets to hold some of the corners of my wood down. Sometimes this thin wood that you use on the K40, it's either 16th or it's 1/8 inch basswood or Baltic birch plywood, that sort of thing. Sometimes it will be a little bit warped, and these magnets are also very helpful in holding the corners down, and you can position them where you can just catch the corner of your material if you have it set directly in the bed. Now in this picture I've got it at an angle because I'm trying to burn a project in some leftover space. But for the most part, you'll set your piece rectangularly right inside the bed, and you can just catch the corner with these magnets, and you can level everything up and have it all stable and held down where you need it to be. In this picture, you can also see that perforated sheet metal that I've used in the bed, and after I do a whole sheet of material and I pull everything out, I can just remove the magnets, pull that piece of sheet metal out, take it over to the scrap bucket, the burn bucket, and scrape it off with a putty knife, easy as can be, and put it right back in, and reset, remeasure, use the height gauge to set up my next piece. This last picture is our new laser. We have replaced the K40 with an Ohmtech 100 watt laser with a 40-inch wide bed and a pass-through. So this will allow us to do some significantly larger projects, thicker material, faster, more efficient. I am looking forward to sharing more videos or pictures with you in the future. And with that, I will say farewell. Have a great day.